Here is an issue that has troubled me often, either in the capacity of a sales manager or a sales trainer, a sales mentor, or even a sales coach. And my concerns revolve around personal focus. Yes, focus, because anything less than 100% focus is not on. That's right. You either have 100% focus or you have a wishy-washy idea of what might be or even could be. And I'll share more on this subject just after this break. The vital issue is whether to ignore a prospect or not, because it's been said many times to me over the years, but still too many salespeople think that it's okay for them to ignore a prospect once the prospect brings something up they consider to be a vital issue. In fact, with some of those salespeople that I've managed or trained over the past years, they openly share that they were taught that way to counter an issue whenever they got into a tight situation. But when I probed them even further about how often they sold in situations such as this, the answer was generally, I don't know. But when they were pressed further, mostly they admitted they didn't sell at all after they had thought things through. The first thing you'll need to do is to listen. And that's what I want to share why listening is so important. So let's hit the nail on the head before we start. The conversational opposite of listening is ignoring. Yes, ignoring. And what we put little value on, we tend to ignore. Positive messages attract us all, and we'll mostly find time to pay attention to something positive, even more so something we value. On the other hand, we tend to give little or no time to anything of little interest to us, and for that reason, we tend to ignore it. Yes, we tend to ignore it because it has little or no value for us. Now, that may not be the case in so many different things we do, simply because so many salespeople can become so engrossed in what they're doing at the time that they may just ignore others to stay on track with the sales message. Is that you? Now, notice I use the word ignore here, and that's because the salesperson is so engrossed in the selling process, they pay more attention and value to what they're doing than they pay to the prospect. In the process, they also forget two vital factors, and these are that the most important person in the room at the time is the prospect, and the second person in the room, that's you. And I've always drawn this conclusion as a professional salesman. Ignore someone in sales, and you'll do that at your peril. I'll repeat that. Ignore someone in sales, and you'll do that at your peril. What so many sellers tend to overlook, or should I say they don't quite appreciate, is that whenever we are in conversation, we send out signals others pick up on. Most that have been trained in this art understand the power of body language. Yet we all feel the emotional message we send out. Females are mostly better at it than males are. However, any body language practitioner will be quick to tell you that positive body language tends to attract, whereas negative body language tends to repel. and can quickly contribute to some form of tension. But if you really want to get on side with someone, you need to start to mirror, in other words, copy their mannerisms. And within a short space of time, they will mostly begin to mirror, in other words, copy you and your mannerisms. Now, when that happens, they will mostly allow you to take control of the selling process at that point. Now, I'm laboring at that point on purpose because when that does happen, they will mostly allow you to take control of the selling process. And again, at that point. Salespeople that take the time to listen intently to everything the prospect says by either answering the questions asked by the seller that may sometimes actually reveal more than the buyer intended them to, or by allowing the prospect to talk openly about something that is dear to their hearts. At times such as these, the benefits to the salesperson are not only valuable as to what they hear, but the act of listening increases the salesperson's self-esteem. Yes, you heard right. Your self-esteem will increase simply by listening. Now, many sales trainers I know in the selling field also suggest that the act of listening alone is considered by many as another valuable asset because it's been said that listening to another is considered by them amongst one of the highest forms of flattery that anyone can give them. Yes, they feel flattered. And most times when someone listens intently to someone else, it becomes obvious to them that you genuinely care about what they are saying. Now, the one doing the talking feels that you genuinely care. And there's another side benefit as well because they too will have their self-esteem increase because you genuinely care. And I want to say a bit more on self-esteem. Now, notice here that both the self-esteem of the salesperson and the prospect goes up because one does the listening and the other benefits because they are being listened to. You see, to me, that becomes a win-win for both because for each individual here, the feeling of personal value increases. And it's always nice whenever someone feels worthwhile and important as a human being. But most importantly, it means that you have made someone feel terrific about themselves just by listening in a genuine and caring way to everything they have to say. Yes, you've made them feel special. I want to ask you a question. Who are you and how do you see yourself when compared to others within your industry? Better still, how do you believe others see you? Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with your career? Are you happy with the products or services you sell? Remember, it's the outer self that gets noticed first, but it's your inner self your prospects get a glimpse of when you spend some time with them. Yet most of us work more on their outer self and believe it is what they need to do. And that's not really the way it should be. Now, if you want to take more notice of the messages that I send out, especially if you're not selling as much as you used to, chances are you may be spending far too much time on your outer self without balancing it with the time spent on the inner self. Now, the reason for this is that every one of us will always have an outside in a behavioral conduct which is in harmony with the image we have of ourselves on the inside. Now, to round off this module, I'd like to ask you a couple more questions. Would others see you as a calm and confident individual, well prepared and skilled in your craft of selling? Would they see a competent salesperson who cares about them as individuals? Now, the reason why I've asked those questions is every one of us will need to get a check on our overall persona, and we need to do it on a regular basis. In fact, you'll most likely start to think positive and happy thoughts the minute you do that. And once you start thinking those happy and positive thoughts, others will pick up on it, and you will improve on what you do things in the general way you've always done things. So if you begin to perform well and start getting the excellent results you deserve, others are more likely to be attracted to you and what you do as well. And that's all about your self-image and how you see yourself and the way you want to be, and also the way you want to be seen by others. But the best part is, if your self-image is where you want it to be and you are comfortable with it, then there's nothing and no one that can ever hold you back.